Hi, good morning. It's Carmen Basinger, Miss Basinger. And I wanted to take a moment to give an example of what we were doing in class. This is really a beginning foundational piece to algebra in the long term. So we're just doing things in a hands-on approach, taking step by step. Sometimes the kids get a little bit nervous, and at least when we're introducing it, they have some difficulty working on this. So what we're going to be doing is setting up a problem. In this first problem, there's cylinders. And so we need to find out what the weight of one cylinder is. Okay, so the kids are going to set it up just like it is on the picture. On the left, there are 3 cylinders. Hopefully I can do this without knocking everything off. There's also a block that has a weight of 13 and also a weight of 3. Okay, and on the other side, so I have to add a weight of 3 on this side. Okay, so those are, and we've set up a balance, and it's kind of has our peak right here that it balances on. So on the other side, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so we'll set those up on the other side of the balance. 1, 2, 3, 4, I have to go one more, and an additional weight of 2. Okay, so I have a 5, and then on this side I have a 2. Okay, so the first thing they do is set it up exactly the way it looks in the picture. Then they ask us to put that in an equation. Just tell me what you see. And they tell us that the cylinders, we're going to use the letter M. So I asked the kids to count how many pieces that we had representing the cylinders. And we say we have, I may have to back up just slightly so you can see this. So we have 3M plus 13 plus 3. And on a balance, because it is a balance, we want it to be equal to what's on the other side. So on the other side, we have 2, 4, 5 of the markers for the cylinder plus 2. Okay, the second step asks that if there are things that are alike, we want to collect them or bring them together. So I'm going to, on this one, I'll still have my 3 markers, but I'm going to add these 2 together. So 13 plus 3 is equal to 16. So 13 on this side, and I now have 3 of the markers that represent cylinders and 13. These we don't have anything that we need to gather, so we just write it again. Okay, so now we have it this way. And at this point, I asked the kids, well, if I just look at the numbers, the other 2 weights that are here, I have 16 pounds on this side and 2 on the other. If I took 16 away here, could I take 16 away there? They all say no. So I say, well, let's remove 2 from this side. So if I subtract 2, I now have 0 extra weights on this side, and all I have left is the 5 markers. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. because we have to be fair, I'm going to subtract 2 from 16. When I subtract 2, 16 minus 2 is 14. So now if I look at it again, I have my 3 cylinders plus 14. Now at this point I remind them, well, our goal is to figure out what one of the cylinders weighs. So if I can get the cylinders by themselves, if I can have the weight on one side and the cylinders on the other, we can figure out what one weighs. So I can take 3 away from this side. So I'm going to subtract 3 of those markers. So all I have left on this side is 14. If I take 3 away from the other side, I have 2 markers left. Okay? So up until now we have 2 markers, or 2 cylinders are equal to 14. So I ask them, well, how can they understand that they have to divide those 2 in half in order to find 1. So I showed them that I can do a line, a new way of writing it. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7. Okay, and the last step that they ask us to do is to check. It shows us here that if we divide this by 2 and we divide this by 2, we end up that each marker is equal to 7. So now I want to check. I'm going to go up to the top, and wherever there's an M, I'm going to put in 7. So I'm going to check, and I'm going to say 3 times 7 plus 16 is equal to 5 times 7 plus 2. And if we do that, it's 3 times 7 is 21 plus 16 is equal to 37, and 5 times 7 is 35 plus 2, and our answer ends up, whoops, I have to go up a little bit. Our answer ends up being 37. So we know that we have done it correctly. So the biggest piece when we're dealing with this is just realizing or remembering, recognizing that it is a balance, and whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. And our goal is to get the unknowns, or in this case the cylinders that we don't know the weight, on one side and the numbers on the other. These are fairly simple. It does take a while for the kids to get used to doing this type of problem. The first few days, the first few times, they're almost in a panic mode, but I just want to reassure you that we'll be going slowly and doing practices together until they can become comfortable with pulling, removing from each side. And as I said, some kids pick it up quickly. We had some kids today that were able to do it independently. The majority of them needed to just have me go through it with them step by step. So I hope that they enjoy this challenge, and I know that it'll take a few times until they become comfortable with it. But I'm confident from past experience that they will become comfortable with it and will be successful independently very soon. Thank you.